So here we've discussed about the play, we discussed the questions also. And in fact, we can have a debate on this, that reading plays is more interesting than studying science. I'll definitely pick this up on when we're going to do debate here. We'll discuss this also, right? So we've done the question answer discussion. Now let us just do this here, vocabulary part. A sadist is a person who gets pleasure out of giving pain to others. Who was considered a sadist in this play? Whom did people think of as a sadist? Yes, in the play, Browning version. Yes, so whom did people think of as a sadist? Yes, they thought Mr. Crocker Harris is a sadist, right? A person who considers it very important that things should be correct or genuine. Starts with P. What is that word? What is that word? Yes, from P. What could be a person who is there very particular about everything? What can we say about that person? Yes, perfectionist. Yes, absolutely correct. It could be perfectionist. Yes, so that is the answer. A person who believes that war and violence are wrong and will not fight in a war. We call such a person a pacifist. Pacifist. P-A-C-I-F-I-S-T. Pacifist. A person who believes that nothing really exists. Now, this one is from N. I'll give you this answer. N-I-H-I-L-I-S-T. Nihilist. A person who believes that nothing really exists. Okay? It is nihilist. N-I-H-I-L-I-S-T. Are you noting it down? Okay, this one you might be knowing. A person who is always hopeful and expects the best in all things. A person who is there who has a positive attitude, who is there thinking, an optimist. Very good, correct. That is an optimist. Yes. A person who believes, or a person who follows generally accepted norms of behavior. The word begins with C. It is conformist. C-O-N-F-O-R-M-I-S-T. Okay. A person is always hopeful and expects the best in all things. O, optimist. What do we call a person who's always negative and talks about, what negative way and is not hopeful? With P, that is a pessimist, or this word is not given, you should know. We have optimism, we have pessimism. Optimism is a positive person and a pessimist is a negative person. Very good. Yeah. A person who believes that material possessions are all that matters in life. A materialist, right? A materialist. We are like that, aren't we? We accumulate materialistic things and we think that, yes, so material wealth is very important. It is important to have all the material things. Very good. Nice. So you got all the answers. So very good class. Now let us start with the last poem of this book. That is childhood. Okay, now when you talk about childhood, students, just tell me, and we all say that, yes, this is, one of the best time of our life. Childhood is there. Yes, and we really, remember it as one of the most pleasant times, as one of the most happiest times that we have had, isn't it? Right? Now, when do we realize, or what do you think, what are your memories about childhood? Can you please tell me, what are your memories about childhood? Yes, what are your memories about childhood? What are the best memories that you have about childhood? Yes? Can anybody tell me? What are the best memories of childhood? Just a minute. Can you see the screen? Is the screen visible to you all? Students, can you see the screen? Yes? It is visible? Okay, okay. Can you see the poem? Can you see the poem? Okay, right. So when you talk about childhood, it is the best part of our life. It's a time period when we were very stress-free. We didn't have any worries and problems. And we thought that this world is a very nice place. Now, what happens as you grow up, apart from the physical changes that happen, like, yes, and you grow taller and bigger and stronger, what other changes do you think happen regarding your perception about life? What changes? Can you tell me? Yes, what are the changes that happen as you grow up? How do you realize that you are not a child anymore? Yes, what are the things that make you realize that you have grown? You become aware of the realities of life, is it? Yes, you realize that life is not so easy. Yeah, we realize that the world isn't always good. It is not a very nice place to be always, right? We realize that sometimes, yes, there are going to be problems in our life. We're going to have good days, we're going to have bad days. And yes, it's not that there is always a happy ending, right? Now, this poem, this is what it talks about. And when do we realize that, like as we grew up, we heard so many fairy tales. Yes, even now we watch them, we enjoy them, and you believe in so many things, right? So you believed in fairies, you believed in magic, you believed in goodness and kindness, and you believed that no one could ever hurt you, no one could ever say anything wrong about you, right? You thought that, yeah, life, there cannot be any problems, and all human beings are good. When we start realizing all these things, when we start realizing that what is in our fairy tales, what is there in our storybooks, life is completely different. It is not always that there is a happy ending, and yes, you will not have magic, and there will, all these things happening here that will sort out all the problems. Okay. Now, here in this poem, the poet discusses not about what childhood is, but when did the poet realized that he is not a child anymore. So sometimes, because life puts us through a lot of problems, life makes us go through so many things that we lose our innocence along the way, right? So we are faced with difficulties, we are exposed to the cruel nature of life, and thereby we lose our innocence. Now look at you here, you children are there, very comfortable, you are sheltered, you are protected from the problems of the world, right? And if we take a child, a 16-year-old, 17-year-old child, who is there, right? Living in not a good condition, right? Poverty, right? Or we have children who work working, right? We see children begging on the roads. How is their life so different? Do you think that these children are innocent? Or did they ever have a childhood? Or did they ever, experience those few innocent moments of childhood? So our circumstances also matter a lot. Sometimes, yes, because we have been protected from the problems of life, We are not aware of the reality of life. Thereby, we might still be. Sometimes, even at a young age, we are exposed to the worries and the problems, and along the way, we lose our innocence. Okay. Now, when you look at small children over here, you see the kindergarten kids, you see class 1, class 2 kids, and you look at them very happily, they're carrying the bags and bottles and running out from the classrooms and going, towards the parents. Now they smile, and you also immediately see, like, look at the child, it's so cute, so sweet, isn't it? What do we love about the child? What we love about the child is the child's innocence. Its views on life and how they think that all the problems are so simple and so easy, isn't it? Right? But things change. Do you think that there is a particular age when we lose our childhood? When we lose our innocence? Is there a particular age in our life? Can I say, oh, you're 10 years old now you're not a child anymore? Can I say that? You're not innocent, you're not a child now. So there is no particular age, isn't it? Right? So let us see what the poet has to discuss. When did my childhood go? Right? So you are there 16, 17 years of age, and you can wonder, you can ask these questions here. Was it the day I ceased to be 11? Is there a mark? Is there a landmark in my life that, okay, after 11, I will not be innocent, I will not be a child? Is it? Right? Was it the time I realized that hell and heaven could not be found in geography? So we have heard about hell and heaven, right? As we grow up, you do good things, you go to heaven. You're bad and you have hurt others, will go to hell, right? But could not be found in geography and therefore could not be. Was that the day? So he says in the first stanza, when did my childhood go? He's going to repeat these questions. He's asking, these are rhetorical questions. Okay, please note. So rhetorics here, rhetorical questions. When did my childhood? When? Can I pinpoint a day in my life? When my childhood went, when I became mature, when I started realizing, right? Was it the day I ceased to be 11? Okay, after my, 12th birthday, it could be that, fine, I'm mature. No, it could not have happened like that. Overnight, it does not happen. Was it the time that you realized hell and heaven could not be found in geography? Yes, you've had your geography classes. Have you ever read a chapter about hell and heaven? Have you? Have you read a chapter about it? No, we have not read a chapter about hell and heaven. Okay? And that means this place does not exist in our geography lessons where we learn about the world, where we learn about the existence of so many things. We have never ever thought about hell and heaven. That means that place does not exist. Okay? And therefore could not be. Was that the day? So, right, so it was a day there, realized that, right, okay, you wonder, I've heard so much of hell and heaven, where is this place? But a geography teacher has not told us about it. She has not shown us on the globe where it is. So you realize that there is no place as hell and heaven. And then, was that the day you were no longer a child? You lost that innocence. You realize that so many things were told to you which actually are not there. Okay, is this clear? First stanza. What does the poet talk about? He talks about, yes, how does he relate to the loss of childhood? How does he relate to the loss of innocence? Okay, so yes, the title might be childhood, but the poet is talking about where did my childhood go? When did I realize that I am no longer a child? Okay, when did my childhood go? Was it the time I realized that adults were not all they need to be? They talked of love and preached of love, but did not act so lovingly. Was that the day? So he's asking, right? He's finding that point. When did I lose my innocence? And we think that being a child is, yes, it's such a blessing. It's the best part of our life. Everybody pampers you, everybody takes care of you. And yes, you are there, away from all your worries and problems. But now he's wondering, what has happened? Like, why everybody's treating you differently? Okay? When did my childhood? was it the time I realized that adults were not all they seem to be. They talked of love and preached of love, but did not actually love it. Was that the day? That yeah, adults were not all this. Adults, they seem to be very caring. They talk about all these good things. They talk about equality. They talk about loving and sharing, right? But in reality, they did not behave like this. And when I realized, oh, look at them. Yes, so they're talking about so many things here, right? But no, they don't act on it. They don't follow it. Was that the day I realized that I am no longer a child? When I could realize that people were not what they practiced. Okay, so what do we call a persons, who say something but behave in a different way, or they don't mean what they say? What about it? What can we call such people? What do you think we call about him? Have you heard of hypocrites or hypocrisy? Yes. So here, when adults, they were not, like we are different from what we preach, right? Otherwise, yes, the life would be so much better. This world would actually be a better place if we actually practiced what we preach. We talk about equality, we talk about growth, we talk about change, right? We talk about loving and caring and sharing, but in reality, this does not happen, right? That means what are we? We don't act the way we speak. That means we are hypocrites. Yes. Okay. And yes, here. Right here. Okay. So this is what is this stanza about. What is it? It is talking about hypocrisy. He feels that all the lies that these people have been telling, they have been exposed. They talk about the world being a nice place. They talk about all these good things happening, but this is not the true picture. And even humans, that double face, it has been exposed. Adults, what they say, what they do, right? So much of hypocrisy in this world. Okay. So in the first stanza, what is he talking about? What is he talking about? He's talking about being aware, isn't it? About his rational thinking, right? He's thinking, of course, he's using his mind to think that, right, hell and heaven do not exist. So if they're not here on the globe, they are not to be found anywhere, that means they do not exist, right? Because our teacher has not taught us about hell and heaven in geography lessons. Second stanza talks about the human behavior, adult behavior, talks about hypocrisy, right? So he says that I realize that adults are different. They talk of love, they preach of love, but they don't behave like that. That means the hypocrisy of adults has been exposed. Okay? Is it clear to you all? Any doubts, any questions? Is it clear or not? Any doubts from these two stanzas? When did my childhood go? He's asking this question again and again. It's a rhetorical question, right? He is there giving the response himself. Okay, these are rhetorics which are used. And here, this poem is not exactly about childhood. It is about the loss of childhood, or what childhood means. How, like the world is different when you are a child, but as you grow, as you mature, the things around you, the world around you, it is different. Okay, right? So we'll stop here for today. Any doubts, any questions, anybody? Anyone?